Welcome to Five Friday Feedback on the Fi Guys podcast, where we recap key takeaways from our most recent episode in order to help cement the information in your mind. We'll also be providing insights to burning questions from our community members in the viewer mailbag.
Remember, the Fi Guys podcast is your trusted source for all things financial independence, and we're thrilled to have you here with us on this journey. So whether you're listening while commuting, at the gym, or just relaxing at home, we're here to provide you with the knowledge and inspiration you need to achieve your financial goals. The Fi Guys is a podcast dedicated to providing general information and insights on a wide range of wealth-related topics. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests and do not constitute personalized financial advice.
The content provided in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be considered a substitute for professional financial advice. Your financial situation and goals are unique, and the information provided here may not be applicable or suitable for your specific circumstances.
We, the host and the guests of the Fi Guys, are not acting as your financial advisor. We are not aware of your individual financial situations, risk tolerance, or investment objectives. Any decisions or actions you take based on the information provided on this podcast are your own and made at your own risk. I may be a financial advisor, but I am not your financial advisor. And now that the lawyers are happy, let's get started.
Howdy, guys, and welcome back to Fi Friday with the Fi Guys. This is our favorite time of the week. I must be honest. I love our Friday episodes, although the Monday episodes are goated. We do love those episodes. This is where we recap Monday and we do a viewer mailbag and a win of the week. If you're new here, I'm Dom, he's Chris, and let's get right into it. Well, on Monday's episode, we talked about the money checklist, right? And it got a lot deeper than just, well, what did we spend on sushi this year? Probably a lot. Probably a lot. But in this episode, we're going to be recapping a little bit, but on the flip side. So you'll see what that's like right here, right now. So let's get right into segment one, where we talked a little bit about reviewing your numbers, right? You can't improve what you can't measure or what you don't measure, right? Chris, what's going to happen if we don't review our numbers for 2025?
Well, I feel like if we don't want to look back to the past, then our history just repeats itself. It's those who don't learn from history are destined to repeat it. If you have the ability to look back at your numbers and say, okay, this is truth. These are objective facts. That this is how much money I spent. This is how much money I made. Do I want to make changes to that, or do I want to keep going down this path? Then we're just going to keep doing the exact same thing. And I feel like majority of Americans look at their budgets, look at their finances, and say, I don't like where I am. I want something to change. And then when you go, okay, what are you going to do to change it? They say, like, it will change eventually. But this really is the first step. You have to be able to review where you were so you can know where you are going.
And, maybe you're saying, like, hey, guys, like, I had a kick-ass 2025. My 2025 blew 2024 out of the water. I had a great year, new job, new girlfriend, new house. Great. Congrats. So happy for you, right? But let's be honest, we can always improve something, somewhere, somehow. Okay? But if we don't track it, how will we know? For the next point, we talked a little bit about resetting your financial foundation. What does that mean to really reset your financial foundation, Chris? I mean, I know that can be kind of a big topic, but what does that mean for us?
Yeah, for us, it's really just about like kind of trying to recalibrate the system, as it were. I think a lot of people, they hope that the change is just going to happen automatically. But by being able to reset, by being able to look at what is and being able to say, all right, this is what we need to do this year, that's what gives us that ability. I think most people, again, they're going to just go through life hoping that things change for them, hoping that someone's going to come in, set up all their systems, get everything done for them so they don't have to. But we need to be able to the one who resets our retirement contributions. We're the ones who need to reset our rebalancing investment portfolios. We're the ones that need to identify and reset, is our lifestyle going in the way that we want, or do we want to change these things? We need to be able to map our milestones and hope that things are going to get where they are, not just believe that they will, because if I hope hard enough, it'll get there. Hope is not a strategy. It isn't a strategy in life. It definitely isn't a strategy in financial. We need to be able to decide in this year what we're going towards so we can actually start to move in that direction. But I think too many people just sit around hoping that it'll figure itself out. And it very well may, but it most likely won't.
I mean, something will happen. Something will happen to you if you don't chart your own course, take control of the helm, and steer it in the direction. But I can say with probably I don't want to say 100% certainty, but damn near, it's not really going to be a place that you want to go or would be the most optimal for you, right? Because it's all about creating a life that's worth living, a life that when you wake up and you're excited about it, you got things on the horizon. You wake up, you do something meaningful, right? You're contributing to society or how whatever lights your fire. So that's why it's so important to really get into the spirit of recalibrating, recalculating, and always kind of, if we had a goal to go from A to Z, make sure that you're mapping it out. You're navigating through the alphabet, as they say. But what do we got on the next one, Chris?
Rather than talking about that, maybe something we should discuss is New Year's resolutions and what we think people should actually do with these things. Because now that we've taken the time to map out where we were and where we might want to go, maybe being able to set an actual goal that is going to get us there would be very helpful. Because what I hear with a lot of people when they say, my goal for this year is to be better, there's this ambiguous thing. And I feel like a lot of people, what they do is they just imagine themselves in this future state. Like next year, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to do all these things. But if you don't have a path, it doesn't need to be a clear path, but like a path to get yourself there, it's just wishful thinking. You have to be able to see how can I do these things. So what do you think for like setting goals? I know that we've talked about this before, but let's rehash it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, having a SMART goal is probably a great start, right? And I'm not referencing, how intelligent you are, right? Um, Having a SMART goal is definitely a great place to start. But before we start with a SMART goal framework, how does this goal, like, what does it mean to you, right? Like for me, it's like, well, I want to lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds. We'll say 10 pounds, right? If I gotta lose 20 pounds, goddamn. But we'll say I want to lose 10 pounds. Cool. I mean, I'll be healthier, I'll look better, probably. Um, you know, what else is there? Now, is that really meaningful? Is that gonna light my fire? When I wake up, man, I can't wait to look better. I can't wait to look healthier. I mean, not really, not really. Um, it's not meaningful enough. It's not deep enough. And for me, for a goal to really stick, for me to have that discipline when motivation runs out, it needs to be very important to me, right? I wake up, it's dark outside, your bed always feels the comfiest when it's in the morning, somehow, some way. You don't want to get up, right? But it's that why. Why do you want this goal so bad? Why do you keep doing it, right? That is so important. So before we even talk about goals, we have to set up the framework properly to where your why has to be strong enough to bear any how. And the problem with goal setting in the modern age is I want to be richer. I want to be handsome. I want to be this. I want to be that, right? It's not rooted in anything meaningful. And because of that, does it really matter? You know, every year we go through the same thing where people set goals. And what is it, Chris? Like by week three,
Yeah, it's
it's
like week
completely,
2, 70% have already abandoned it.
yeah. So it's like we're doing something wrong. And I believe it always starts with why. If you are morbidly obese and you have a lovely little daughter, right? I love this analogy, right? Well, if your why is, I want to be there for my daughter's wedding one day, I guarantee you that's a strong enough why. I want to be there, be the strong person for my family, right? These are strong enough whys. And oftentimes, and Chris, maybe you can kind of chime in on this, right? The strongest whys aren't solely about you. They're bigger than you. They're included, like we always say, it's easier to lie to yourself. It's harder to lie to your spouse or someone you love, right? So bring them into your why on why it needs to happen. And maybe Chris, you can kind of give an example or two.
Yeah, I'll give a personal example from what's kind of going on in my life right now. You know, as you guys know, my wife and I, we moved back to San Diego recently and our costs have dramatically increased. And, we find ourselves kind of bringing money in and money's going out so quickly. It's discombobulating to have to like reset everything from what we knew when we were back in a different state, a much cost of living cheaper state. And next year we're planning a trip to go to Italy with my wife's parents. And what I was seeing is that my wife was still spending as if we were in Arizona in a cheaper place. So she was spending money just pretty, oh, we can do this because this is what we have done. And we had to have a sit down discussion where we reviewed everything and we looked, and I had to ask her, like, what is the goal that you want? Where do you want to go? And like, what's the values that you want? She said, well, I want to give my parents this meaningful trip. It's going to be great. I want to look at all these things. Okay, then in order for us to do this, this is what needs to happen. And then from then, like, I've seen an immediate shift. I'm like, hey, let's not spend money because this goal, this goal is tied to this thing, this value that I have to be there for my family, to be able to provide, to be able to give a meaningful experience. And now it makes it so much easier because so many of us will look at this goal and say, I'm willing to sacrifice anything. I'll do whatever it needs to. But then it actually comes down to the time, that moment where you actually have to sacrifice. It's easy to say, oh, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up early and go for a run. It's hard to hear the alarm go off and get out of bed and put your shoes on and actually go into the cold and do it. You have to be able to say, why am I trying to get there? Just like Dominic's point of, I want to look healthier. I want to do this. I want to be better. I listened to an interview recently with a Jelly Roll, the country music singer. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen him recently, but he used to be over 500 pounds. He's down to like mid to low 200s. He has lost
Wow.
over 300 pounds in like the past few years. And he was talking about this journey, and it was a beautiful journey of just starting, not even runs, just being able to walk, going out for a walk. And the reason that he did it was to be there for his kids because he was afraid that he was going to die. He thought, I'm probably not going to make it past 30. I'm not going to make it past 40. But now he has kids that he wants to be there for. And that's the reason he's going on this journey. And he said that it was just one thing after another that kept on stacking to finding joy to life again.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I
Homeboy
think
looks
that's
great.
really
He's
that's
lost so
awesome.
much weight.
That's so impressive. That's not easy.
No.
That's so difficult. Um, Especially because it's like, if you think about it, like he has so many built-in habits that got him to that point in his life where he was overweight. I mean, and overweight isn't even the right word. I mean, on the brink of death. And for him to have that 180 shift to break those habits, to break those chains that held him so tight. And now I mean, this is amazing. This is truly amazing. And I guess that's a great example of the why and what a powerful why can do for you. The stronger the why, easier the how. And that's why it's so important to have that strong why.
And not only that, not just to have the why, but then to set up the systems. And this is what I need to do to get there, and to like be present with those things. And it's the hardest thing, right? Socrates, like, know thyself. Why is it that I keep on falling back into these old patterns? I have the why. I know where I'm trying to get there, but then I keep on trying to, every time that it comes to that break, that nexus point of like, I do this or I do this, your brain's going to always reset to what is easiest. And often what is easiest is the pattern that you have repeated over and over and over again. Your brain wants to be on autopilot majority of the time because it's calorically the easiest thing to do. And that's the hardest part. That's like breaking free from the matrix and trying to choose what it is that we want to do. How many of us have driven home and then, 20 minutes later, like, whoa, how the hell did I get here? I was like gone for 20 minutes. Like I was driving, I was physically here. Your brain wants you to be in that place all the time. And only by being present and like noticing when we get to these moments of, do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go towards the path that I want to go to, that I stated is my why, that I stated is my North Star? Or do I go to the path that's easy, the path that I've already walked over and over and over again? And if we're busy living in the past or the present, or the past or the future in our brains, we don't even see that as a choice. We automatically go and we veer to the wrong direction. We have to be able to make these decisions every day and look back and say, okay, the reason I made those decisions is because of the past and who I was, but this is who I am now. And this is where I want to become. This is where I want to go. This is the person I want to be. These are the steps I need to take to get there.
And I think that's one of the main points that I really loved. I believe it was in, I don't know if it was section 2 or 3 from Monday's episode, but where you talked a little bit about how important it is when you set a goal to, hey, we're checking in on this goal, if not quarterly, if not monthly, weekly, right? We're on it, right? When you're making food, I'm gonna do a food reference. When you're making a dish, right? There's checkpoints, right? You don't just leave the steak on the stove or on the grill. You're like, I'll come back 30 minutes or whatever. It's like, no, you're coming back, you're checking on it, right? And that's really how it is with goals. And I want to say for the person who really just doesn't really believe in themselves, every year I try, every year I fail. What's the point of trying? You're already consistent with not doing something, which proves the concept that you can be consistent. And I love that framework because it allows you to believe in yourself again. And you have to believe in yourself because if you don't believe in yourself, who else is? But on the same point, who else do you need to believe in yourself but yourself? So always believe in yourself. I truly believe that we can do so much more than we actually think we can. That also being said, we have to set, I don't want to say reasonable targets. I've read some books like the 10X books that say, whatever your goal is, 10X it, right? I read other books that's like, you need to set reasonable goals, right? I don't know if there's a right way to do it for everyone. For some people, setting a goal 10X might make sense. For some people, setting a more reasonable goal might make more sense, right? But we always try to encourage and always want you to dream big. Dream big. You have no idea how much you can truly do. But one of the things that we talked about on Monday that I'm going to bring up again, um, if you set a reasonable goal, right, make sure to have goals behind it. And it's good to set up these things beforehand, right? That way, you don't get to your goal and then plateau, and then you're like, oh, now what? I've done everything. It's boring now. You know, it's always good to have an end game in play once you finally finish or get to the goal. Chris, I know you're not the biggest on goals. You just do, right? But how do we kind of get in the spirit, get in the mindset of creating goals and really setting things that are meaningful? And where would you recommend, I guess, starting with goal setting?
What I would probably do is try to project yourself out 5 years, 10 years, 20 years in the future and say, what is my ideal day? This is what I normally do with my clients. Hey, in 10 years, what's your ideal day? And I like vivid description. Where are you waking up? Who are you waking up next to? What kind of bed is it? What's the room look like? What are all these things? And tell me in great detail, when you go downstairs, what are you going to eat for breakfast? Are there kids? Like what's going on? And every aspect. What do you do for work? All this stuff. Okay. That's your ideal life. That's what you want, right? How do we get there? How do we start to be that person today? Because I think too many people, they look at that and they're like, all right, I'll get there. And how are you going to do that? I'll just get there. But if you want to get there tomorrow or in 10 years, I think we underestimate what we can do. We overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. By being able to put in this consistent small effort to become the person that we want to be, every action that you take is a vote in the person that you're going to become. And too many of us are taking these terrible actions over and over and over again, and then becoming these worse and worse people because we're taking bad actions. We're voting to become a worse person. And then when we get there, we're surprised that we ended up where we were. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand where you're going. And I think more importantly, you need to understand why you want to go there. I think too many people in the society are going through life choosing goals that society has set for them. You need to be rich. You want to be successful. You want to do all of these things. You want to have 6 wives or whatever. But at the end of the day, you get to ask yourself, the most important thing is know yourself. What is that you want? What will actually make you happy? Maybe you'll discover that it's not what society tells you because quite frankly, society's systems, the things that it's built is effed up. Majority of people are depressed. Majority of people are obese. Majority of people are not in a good headspace. Do you want to follow the crowd off the cliff or do you want to be your own person?
And I
I don't know
think
if I
with
answered your
that,
question at all.
no, that it was perfect. That was, or it was a flawed question to start, but that was perfect. That was truly perfect. I love that. You know, this week I am plan excuse me. I'm planning my goals for the upcoming year, months, quarters, whatever, right? And I've been struggling with how to start it, how to like see it, you know? And what you just said is going to be the first thing that's in each goals page is like, how do you, I'm just going to like, I'm going to take this transcript, I'm going to swipe it, I'm just going to throw it right into my Notion page. But like you said, you know, what is this dream life you want to see? What do you want to see? What does the perfect day look like for you in 5 years? Right? Who are you waking up to? That's a funny way to start. I think that's hilarious. Hopefully my wife. Um, but you know, and what do you want to eat? What do you want to do? You know, I love that. I think that's a really powerful metric um to fuel these goals and to fuel a life that's worth living. Because oftentimes, I mean, we've all been there where it's like, how did I get here? And where am I going? I know it's nowhere. So what's to look forward to? And when I think of that, what you were just saying, it's like, wow, I now have something to work towards. That's bigger than myself in a way because it involves other people. But with that being said, and that's going to be my New Year's resolution is getting rid of the ums and getting rid of the with that being said. Um, but truly moving to our next segment. This is going to be our viewer mailbag segment. We have got a juicy one today, a great one to close off the year, and I am very excited about it. So if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for coming in. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow the podcast, share it with everyone. This is the part of the podcast where someone writes into us via our website or our email, and all of that is linked in the description. And we try to give our best feedback, our best advice from the stuff that we've kind of lived through in our world. Right? It's all about sharing the knowledge we have. So let's get right into it. I quit a 300K job at 30. And here's the brutal truth.
Ooh, this is going to be different.
Yes, sir. Howdy, Fi Guys. I quit, I quit my 300K finance job at 30 because I finally admitted to myself, more than anyone, that I hated it. And let me tell you, the lifestyle downgrade since then has been absolutely brutal. People assume that there's always some dramatic breaking point. Like, I flipped a conference table or I stormed out yelling, I'm better than this. No, none of that. It was quieter than that, almost boring. I promise the juicy stuff is coming. It was the slow, suffocating realization that every morning I put on a mask. I walk into a world that praised me, and I felt a little bit more like I was disappearing. 7 years of smiling through my teeth, grinding, convincing myself that golden handcuffs were still jewelry. Then one random Tuesday, between a portfolio review and a meeting about strategic synergy,
Oh, I hate
it hit
synergy
me.
stuff.
It's a bogus. It's garbage. It's garbage. I could either die a very wealthy version of miserable, or I could finally tell the truth. So I walked away. No fireworks, no epiphany, just a quiet surrender. Fast forward a few months, and I bought half of a 40-year-old family business and started building a Miami real estate portfolio. I'm sorry, Miami real estate platform, because apparently I like chaos and cortisol, the stress hormone. Both both websites literally were vibe coded by me with beginner level programming, which saved me like 100K, but cost me several years of my life. Fun. And I hope that's not actual most several years, probably, you know, excuse me. But here's the part nobody warned me about: a lifestyle freefall. I spent years telling myself I didn't become an entrepreneur because, well, I wanted stability. Turns out what I really meant was I like Whole Foods without checking the price. I like spontaneous $200 sushi dinners. I like skiing every winter and pretending the lift ticket didn't cost a kidney. Now, the rug got yanked. One business is profitable, but tiny. The other startup is burning money like a scented candle. Marketing costs? Insane. Ads? Violent. Creative testing? Well, that feels like donating more money to Meta so that they can buy another yacht. Genuinely, I thought I was going to show up, hustle a little, and boom, growth. Delusional. Like embarrassingly delusional. But the hardest part, the part that really hits my soul, is ignoring the headhunters. Every time the phone rings with we have a role for you at 350 comp, my nervous system lights up like Pavlov's dogs. I know I can go back. I know I can make money tomorrow, that's like, but that is the very life I crawled out of. Going back would feel like betraying the version of me who finally had the guts to leave. Then there's the identity crisis. Going from finance guy at a big fund, I'm going I'm building companies, does something to your ego. Women, this line cracks me up. I'm not going to lie. Women used to nod with confident interest. Now they tilt their head like I might be having a midlife crisis 10 years too early. Damn. All right. I used to have clean narratives, successful, stable, impressive. Now I feel like a walking question mark. And honestly, some days I feel embarrassed. I didn't expect that. And I didn't expect how naked it feels to not have a shiny identity to hide behind. But here's the twist. I also have new respect for entrepreneurs, like deep respect, bone level respect. Because until you're the one staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., asking yourself, am I insane? Or is this how it's supposed to feel? You don't get it. You really don't. Anyway, my rant is over. And if you've read this far, I owe you a drink once I start making money again. Gotcha. I would love to hear from you two as you guys generally give great insights through this identity whiplash, this free fall from a high paying job into entrepreneurship. Does it get better? Does the anxiety ever chill out? Or is this just the admission price for building something real? Either way, thanks for listening. From left the grind, now losing my mind, because I quit the cash, now I'm facing the crash. How about that? Well, that is a mailbag. Let
That
me
was a
tell you,
narrative, man. We went
that
all over
was
the place.
beautiful. Setting the standard for 2026. I love that.
At
Wow.
first, I thought it was going to be like, this is what it was like to leave a high paying job. Then it became, this is what it's like to be an entrepreneur. I mean, we jumped all over the place. I don't even know
I
where to
love it.
start on this one.
This is a beast of a mailbag. I mean, man, you have the temptation of the headhunters. You've got the guilt of starting something new and it not blowing up and being an ultra success. The question marks, the midlife crisis, the money. There's so much in play here. Where do we even start? First, I want to see, if you guys have any ideas on where to start this one, please leave it in the comments down below. I would love to hear where you guys start and what you guys think this guy should do next. But we go to the expert, Chris. This is an insane one. Where do we start?
First thing I want to start with is like everyone's problems, or the problem you have is still a problem. I know there's going to be people who are listening to this, and this is one of the nice things I like about the podcast is we do have quite a wide variety of people that listen, right? We have this listener who making a bunch of money, like sounds like very financially well, or could be doing very financially well very quickly. And we have people that are like $60,000, $80,000 in debt. So we run this gamut. And I think so many people who might be on the opposite end of this spectrum, $100,000, $80,000 in debt would be like, man, I would kill to have this person. And yes, maybe his problems are objectively better problems. And that does not mean that they aren't still problems. And that's kind of cool to be able to realize that we're all suffering. We're all kind of going through this life confused, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Before I get into my stuff, Dom, do you have anything else that maybe that prompted for you?
One of the lines he said that I thought was so interesting was about how he was hiding behind status. And, when you start becoming successful, you start getting more money than you know what to do with it. And, like he said, he was praised at work. Women looked at him, right? They gave him the nod rather than the head tilt. Um, your ego starts to run rampant. And like Icarus, you're flying too close to the sun, brother. Um, but what I find so interesting about it is it almost felt like he believed he was invincible. He believed I can do anything. And while I believe that that is an important thing to have, to s- to believe that you can do anything, right? But there's a point where it becomes unchecked. And when it becomes unchecked ego, that's when it can be really dangerous. And, the higher the climb, well, the harder the fall. And he was way up there on the mountain. And when he fell, man, he fell hard. And it looks like he's really trying to piece together you know, what's left. And I don't want to say he's shattered, but man, he's got a lot of pieces to put together and a lot of different issues that are making things worse, with the ego, with the self belief, with I, my identity. I'm someone who succeeds. I'm stable. I'm impressive. I'm successful. And now I've been reduced to ash. How does he, recover from this? And
Yeah.
we know he can, but how is the question?
Yeah. Well, let's try to help a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
first off, to our listener, I want to thank you for your honesty. I think that most people would never admit that they hate the life they build, especially when that life pays extremely well. I mean, you walked away from a comfort that anyone else idealizes. And that takes a lot of guts that most people will, quite frankly, never have the access to go or never have that experience. So thank you for living that experience. You, when it comes down to leaving a job, you didn't just leave the job. You, to Dominic's point a second ago, you left an identity. And that's why this feels like you're in a free fall because you're not changing your career from a finance guy to an entrepreneur. You're redefining who you are when there's no fancy title to hide behind. Now you're just a guy trying to start a business rather than the finance person. And that quiet realization, that's that moment that is far more common than you think it is. That moment where you realize, like, what the hell am I doing? Especially like when you did that in your last role. Like, I feel like for burnout, when you were in that finance role, it rarely comes with fireworks. It rarely comes with flipping the desk, you know, freaking kicking somebody, it's storming out. It's this slow erosion of your alignment until one day, like your soul or some higher consciousness just taps you on the shoulder and says, like, hey, bro, we're done. Like, we're not playing this game anymore. So it's humbling. Like it's humbling to realize that you were in the wrong place and that you were able to do that. But it's also humbling that your lifestyle had to shift, and that shift is normal. When you've been operating on abundance for years, even small financial friction feels like you're a failure. But it's actually just you recalibrating to the reality of what is now, of what you've decided to shift to. You've decided to shift from a lot of money and the ability to say who you are easily to growing a life that you actually idealize, a life that you actually want. So you're grieving the loss of your old life, the sushi, the skiing, the confidence, and most likely the certainty. And grief doesn't just show up when people die. It shows up when identities die too. And you moved on to a new identity. So you're learning the part of entrepreneurship right now that nobody glamorizes, that nobody even talks about. Not the freedom, not the build your dream life, not the part where you spend money you don't have on problems you don't really understand, hoping that eventually something's going to work out for you. Every entrepreneur goes through this valley and it sucks. Most people don't talk about it. Most people just see the end goal, see what did come, and they're like, yeah, it was like this the whole time. It was all sunshine and rainbow. But that's not true. Your delusion as to what you thought things were going to be wasn't a flaw. It was the fuel for what you needed to do to quit the job, to become an entrepreneur, to live the life that you thought you wanted and the life that it seems like you still want. If entrepreneurs knew how hard it was actually going to be, no one would start. Everyone would be, it's so much easier. Like naive optimism gets you in the door, but discipline and grit keeps you in the arena. I was recently watching this Taylor Swift documentary with my wife, right? And in the beginning of it, opens with Taylor Swift talking to all of her dancers. And she's basically saying people that go into the entertainment industry, dancing, singing, everyone that you respect, everyone that you love tells you, if you can do anything else, do that thing instead. Do literally anything else. Be an accountant, be anything. Can you work as a grocery boy rather than trying to be a dancer, rather than trying to be a successful singer or whatever, because the chances that you make it are infinitesimal. It's the exact same thing for entrepreneurship. I respect you for ignoring the headhunters. That's a real test. Walking away is one thing, but staying away from those golden handcuffs shows that you're backing up what it is that you want to do. That's an entirely different level of conviction in what you want. And that's got to be hard. And it's also very, very nice to know that if things really do get tough, you have that ability to go back into the arena. And if you do decide to go back into the arena, that doesn't mean that it's going to be forever. I really heard the thing about the women, like women don't care about my titles anymore. And I don't think women really ever did care about the titles. You cared about the titles, and you had that confidence because you're able to say that you had this title. And that embarrassment that you feel right now, I'm building companies, that's just your ego grieving the status of what it had. The right person won't see less of you. They'll see that you're brave. In fact, most people, when I say I'm an entrepreneur, they think that's really cool. And maybe it's just in my head that when I say I'm an entrepreneur, I think that's cool. But when you think that, oh, this is what losers do, then then you're going to create that feeling, that energy. And they're like, oh, well, he doesn't believe in it, so why should I? Right now, your nervous system is like in a detox from certainty. High pay, corporate job, predictable. And this entrepreneurship route is like a biological shock because the anxiety isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're adapting to its new normal. The new normal, that there is nothing normal in entrepreneurship. It's this constant up and down. And you're learning what real freedom actually costs. It's not the money. It's the willingness to rebuild yourself from zero with no guaranteed payoff. You're not insane. You're just early. Every entrepreneur has this phase where they question literally everything, every decision they ever made to get to this point. And the ones that quit never get to see the payoff. The ones who stay eventually realize the discomfort was the tuition, was the entry fee to play the game. Your respect for entrepreneurs is the correct takeaway. You've entered a world where people fight battles silently every single day. So from Dominic and I, like, welcome to the freaking club. Yeah, it's gonna suck. It just is. And when you get to look back on it, hopefully in a few years, you're gonna say, like, it was all worth it to get here. Because identity whiplash, whenever we make a change in life, it's unavoidable. The key to this is that you don't try to resurrect your old identity. You build a new one intentionally, one that isn't tied to your compensation, one that isn't tied to your status, one that isn't tied to your title, but one that is competent, courageous, and authentic to who you are as a person. So, does it get better to be an entrepreneur? Yes, it gets better. Once you stop comparing your new self to your old self, that is the real psychological pivot. When you stop measuring success on the old metrics that you used to and start measuring it based off of who you are and where you want to go, your nervous system will finally be able to catch up. The story that you've told thus far from what we've read, like, that is not a failure arc. It's a chapter of someone who is like in the middle of that moment, kind of in the dark forest, and stories never end in that dark forest. You're in that messy middle. So just keep going, because no one becomes the person they're proud of without passing through this stage, without going through the shit. You're going to make it through it because you've already proven the ability to succeed in other domains. You're going to take that and move it to this domain. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, like they say, most purpose is more burden than glory. And starting a business, starting over, reinventing yourself, it sucks. And the anxiety doesn't really go away. It's not psychological or it's not philosophical, it's biological, right? And it can stabilize. Um, it
I think you
can
just get used to
stabilize.
it. I think you just
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah. Um, and you know, every real entrepreneur has had that loss of status, right? That loss of certainty, loss of comfort, and and the temporary, like he's going through the temporary identity collapse, crisis, whatever you want to call it. Um, and it's kind of weird in our society. Um, you almost there. I've seen both heads of the coin, but where some people are like, oh, they glorify when people look at entrepreneurs, they glorify it, and some people are like, so you don't have a job, So at the end of the day, if people's opinions really matter, that's up to you, right? You give power where you give power, right? So you can control your own destiny with that. But like you said, Chris, staring up at the ceiling, anxiety, stress, uncertainty, it's the price of admission, buddy. It's the price of admission for building anything real, for building anything great. And there's no guarantee that it will work out. And you have to be okay with that. And that's what makes entrepreneurs so crazy, so psycho. I mean, where else are you going to find these crazy guys? So, or gals. Um, yeah, that's my take. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, no, neither do I. So thank you so much for writing in. You got this, man. You're just in it. And
Welcome to the club.
sometimes you can just admit, hey, I'm in it. It sucks. This is the season I'm in, and I can make the season go faster by working through it quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get on to win of the week.
And enjoy the suck. I haven't said that
Embrace
in
it.
a long time. Embrace the suck. Yeah, enjoy the suck might be a little bit. It's
Yep.
from a Jocko book. Calm down, comments, calm down. Anyway, win of the week. Chris, what do you have for your win of the week?
Yeah. So for a long time, I've always had like a lot of pain in parts of my body that is comes from years of jujitsu, football, wrestling, all the stuff that I did when I was younger, and um, I saw a video of myself walking. I didn't know it was me, and I was like, man, that person has terrible posture. And then I was like, oh shit. So sometimes you do need to take that external version, like the external outside of yourself, to be able to see the issues that you have. So I have something called anterior pelvic tilt, where my like hips are kind of like moved forward a little bit,
Mhm.
probably from a lot of sitting, during school and just stuff like that. Um, and I've always kind of thought like, okay, yeah, you can kind of improve it just a little bit. And yeah, maybe you can only improve it just a little bit. Maybe it's never going to go fully away, but I've been working on it for the past about month and a half. And I'm starting to see like a lot more change now. And it was really, really slow change, but like my back pain is starting to go away a little bit. So I might not ever get to like fully neutral pelvis, but at least I can get it better. So I think the biggest thing to take away from like my win of the week is whether you think you can or you think you can't, like you're right. If you truly believe that just by putting in a little bit of effort or putting in a lot of effort into something can make it better, then it will. At the end of the day, the only belief that matters is that if I try at something, I can get better at it. So that's my win of the week.
That's a huge win of the week. I love that. I'm excited for you to have a strong back. I know, that's been one of the things that you've been, focused on for so long, with all of your training and whatnot. So that's a huge win, man. I'm really excited for you on that. That's awesome. Um, yeah, I will say sometimes like, you look in the mirror, you look in the camera, you're like, oh man, you like it. And then it's like you look on someone else's camera, you're like, oh, is that how you see me? God, good Lord. That's it's not
I'm
how it
sorry.
works.
I'm sorry to deal with that.
Yeah. Like, why did you choose me? I'm an entrepreneur. Why'd you do this? No. But that being said, my win of the week, gotta get rid of that. But My win of the week is one of my good friends has come home for the holidays, and I'm very excited. We had him and his girlfriend over at the house last night. I ordered my favorite pizza from my favorite pizza spot. And we had a great night, got a bunch of cookies. It was a wonderful, wonderful season, wonderful time. But yeah, that's my win of the week. Big shout out to you, Thomas. And that is going to do it for us on this episode. Chris, any final thoughts?
No, thank you guys for joining us for 2026. I mean, we made it another year, and let's try to make it another great year of trying to get where we want to go. Keep on moving in the right direction. I'm not asking you to go from where you are to perfection, just 1% better. That's all we ask for is 1% better. That aggregation of marginal gains.
We're the Fi Guys. I'm Dom. He's Chris. Make sure to like the episode, share it with a friend, and we'll see you guys on Monday. Later. Guys. Peace.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor. It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.